So, Heidi, what's your word?
My word today is fear.
What was your meaning behind that word? Or what is the meaning in your?
Part of it was that I had to come up with a new word. And just listening to people talk, and I just kind of thought that so many things in life can be fear driven, and sometimes that's a good thing and sometimes that's a bad thing. You know, like if you push yourself to do something that you're fearful of, sometimes you find strength out of that, but sometimes we don't do things out of fear.
So do you think it's always good to do things out of fear?
Well, no, because I think you need sensibility at times. But I think it's, you know, especially also as a parent, like looking at your children and the decisions they make, like it can be frightening, and as a parent you're fearful for them, but also you never want your child to limit themselves based on fear. Anything else?
Why are you looking at me? You're the interviewer, bro.
That was my question.
You're doing way better than I would have ever done, so.
But I just think fear also can play to what we've talked about and circled back on so many times, is that, you know, do a lot of people choose religion out of fear? And so how many choices in our life are based from a fear-driven place? And like I said, sometimes I think some of those decisions could be good decisions. Like sometimes you find exhilaration from living through your fear and forcing yourself to do something, but then it could be negative in the sense of, do we limit the choices we make because we're fearful that they won't come out the way we want, or, you know, you fear you won't succeed, so do you try it all? That's what I gotta say about that.
So is your idea that fear is a good thing?
I don't think it's good or bad, really. I mean, I think if you let fear drive the decision, it could be a bad thing if it limits your decision. But I think that if you push through the fear, it could be a good thing, because it could put you on the other end of something that you're glad you did in the long run.
Do you think it would always be good if you push something even though you're fearful of it?
Not necessarily. I mean, some choices might just be stupid. You know, like, you don't want to be like, oh, I'm a fear of heights, but I'm going to just go take this really risky chance. But if you're scared of heights and you train properly, I mean, there is fear that you can work through.
Yeah.
But not all. But I guess I was more thinking, like, you know, does fear cap us at the knees at times and limit us from doing some of what we could do? Because fear of failure, you know, fear of putting yourself out there because you don't want to, you know, have reciprocating feelings, fear of not making a team, fear of, you know, anything. If you let it limit you, it could be a bad thing, but if you let it drive you, possibly it could be a good thing. You know, like for me with religion, I always wonder if you're believing in religion solely out of fear, are you truly finding the joy that the faith could give you, when all you're really wanting is the expectation of, say, like a heaven? You know?
You're going to hell.
Right. Like if you just believe in religion as a safety net, do you truly have religion in your heart? But if you believed in it because it meant something to you, then maybe it's not, you know, fear-based. And I think fear is a way of intimidation for a lot of people too. So if you're using fear to get someone to do something you want, you know, are you really driving them to make a choice that's good for them, or are you just using a tool that gets you what you want? So I think it's a good thing and a bad thing.
Fear's a huge motivator for a lot of people in sports, without question. I mean, just fear of losing, fear of failing, fear of. And when we were in Landmark years ago, there was a woman who was a doctor, and she story was that when she was an elementary school kid, for a lot of people who have these same stories that they don't necessarily realize, she had a moment in school where she had said to herself through something that happened in class that she was stupid. And then she's a medical doctor, and she was still living through this fear of the world thinking she's stupid. So in other words, she became obsessed with being educated to avoid that experience she had as an 11-year-old. You know, it was fascinating to me, and she just realized it at that point in time. Bruce Jenner, or Caitlyn Jenner, I just listened to this or watched this documentary about him recently. And same exact thing. He says that do you guys all know? Do you know who Caitlyn Jenner is?
Yeah.
So he said that he attributes a lot of his success as an athlete to realizing that he like when he started having sort of his, and I don't mean to label it anyway, but was like confused about, do I
His
want to be a
identity.
man or a woman or whatever, that his effort that he put forth to being an athlete was trying to, in a way, like suppress that from happening. Like, in other words, like, I'm going to make the whole world think that I'm very manly and masculine or whatever it was, and he claims that that's part of what drove him to become the level of athlete that he did, which is interesting, which is fear, right?
Right.
This is where I'm making the association, which is amazing, huh? Like, some of the most extreme athletes, I think, probably have gotten there out of, it's a motivator for sure.
Right. It's probably a blocker at times too.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. That's
You know.
suppressing.
You want to share a fear you have?
I mean, everyone's fearful of things, but I'm trying to figure something that's like, you know, I'm fearful of sharks, but that's not like a big deal. I guess maybe fear of not being loved or being alone. You know, I mean, I value my space in a quiet house, but
What's going on?
right, but
It's not right now, please.
but yeah, I mean, I guess my biggest fear would be not being loved, probably.
Fearful of being dependent on our kids when we get older?
I know Dov's biggest fear right now is that this will never end.
Oh, look, we got the word "and" up there.
Yeah. Do you think fear of not being loved is like and I guess the question for everybody, is a natural instinct? Like that, like we need it, like you earlier made the reference of like food, you know, like we need love, like we need nutrition.
I think people do. I mean, I remember as a kid going down to an orphanage in Mexico, and like when you would hold the babies that just weren't getting touched,
Yeah.
and it would just break your heart to put them down because
Yeah.
they were just wailing. So humans need that interaction. I mean, to what level? I mean, you can find love in friendship, and you can, you know, there's so many
Yeah.
different kinds of love. But if you don't make those connections, like, I don't know how gratifying your life would be.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, could you exist without it? Probably, you know.
Humans are social beings.
Yeah, I think we do need that connection.
It's like monkeys. Monkeys need each other in the wolf packs, like all of those types of things. It's like they need to work together.
Right.
People lose their partner and die right afterwards.
Yeah,
or
live
whatever,
longer. Yeah.
Well, and I think, I don't, you know, actually what I should have thought of it, but, and obviously it's very encompassing as a woman, or as a parent, fear of letting go for like your kids. You know, like that's a hard one because you know that they have to make their own mistakes. And kind of like what Dis said earlier, like as a parent, your first instinct is to just try to keep them far away from pain.
Yeah.
But that pain is where they find growth. But,
Whatever
you know, or knowing that it's okay that they just make mistakes and you just have to hopefully show that you're being supportive and you're there to listen, and that even if you made a grimace on your face, it's still like unconditional and it didn't change anything. That,
Still let it go.
yeah.
Recommend
Well, and finding that balance though of what you think is a cliff and
Yeah,
what they
that's
think
true.
is like, I just need to spread my wings. Like,
Yeah.
I always look at athletes and think of like, how does their mom sit in a stadium and watch their son play, you know, the Super Bowl? And how are you not just dying for your child out there who wants this so bad?
Yeah.
And then take it at another level, like the climber that does the free climbing, and I think there was like Amazon or Netflix on it.
Yeah.
Alpinist.
And he was like, I'm not taking risks. I trained for this, but all I could think of is like, either how are you a mother or a wife to someone like that? Because you know that without that in their life, that person would feel like they weren't fulfilling their life.
Yeah.
But how do you want them to fulfill what they feel is like breath to them,
Yeah.
but feel like I could lose you?
Yeah.
So
Is that Alex? Are you talking about that? Yeah.
I think so.
Do you remember the photographers and their friends and stuff? And they were. I was upset watching it, and I didn't even know the guy, but the people filming the stuff were fearful that they were going to watch him conscious with death.
Right.
To his death, it was horrifying.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's just one of those things in life. Like, how do you support someone on something that you're just so fearful that they might find hurt or danger or
Yeah. One of the most consequential books that I read as I think I was about 20, was this book called Feel the Fear, Do It Anyway. And it was by an author named
Shepherd?
Les, exactly, yeah. And as a 20-year-old, it was, the timing was, I mean, honestly, I would say I wish I had read it earlier, but just was like, it was phenomenal. Just like helped me just be like, okay, I'm diving into the cold water or whatever and find out what happens, but not be like, no, I don't want to do that. Like now you're realizing that you're having that, like you having this conversation right now, I'm sure there's people in this room or in a lot of rooms that would be like, I didn't realize that I was having fear be my choice or be
Right.
the determining factor, right? Just choosing something from the menu, let alone what class I take or, you know, where do I go to school or
right. Or do you
do I
choose
try a new,
safety
do I try a
versus
new sport? Do I
Right.
go up and say hello to that girl or whatever? That's
Good
tough.
input.
So do you want to see if she's ready to write a word? Or?
Are you ready to write your word on
I
the wall?
am ready to write
Alright.
You're afraid to turn it off?
No,